Imagine a world where the secrets of the stars, the cures for forgotten diseases, the lost plays of ancient geniuses, and the wisdom of civilizations long vanished were all kept in one place. A single building that held the very memory of humanity. Now, imagine it all burning away, vanishing into smoke, ash, and silence. The greatest treasure humanity ever gathered, gone forever. This is not myth. This is not legend. This is the story of the Library of Alexandria, history's greatest loss of knowledge. And tonight, we're going to travel back more than 2,000 years to uncover how it was built, why it mattered, and how its destruction still shapes our world today. Because what humanity lost in Alexandria may have changed the course of history itself. Our story begins in the bustling port city of Alexandria, founded by Alexander the Great in 331 BCE. This city would rise to become the crown jewel of the ancient world, a hub of trade, culture, and ambition. But above all, Alexandria was destined to be a city of knowledge. Under the rule of Alexander's successor, Ptolemy I, and later his son, Ptolemy II Philadelphus, a dream was born, to gather all the wisdom of mankind into one grand repository. Not just a library, but the library, a sanctuary where every scroll, every text, every discovery known to humankind would be preserved. It wasn't just about reading books. This was about power. Knowledge was power, and whoever controlled it could shape the destiny of nations. But here's the mystery. Today, no one knows exactly what was lost when the Library of Alexandria fell. Was it thousands of scrolls? Hundreds of thousands? Did it contain the lost plays of Sophocles, ancient maps of the world, forgotten scientific breakthroughs that could have put mankind on the moon centuries earlier? We'll never know, because all of it vanished. So how did this monumental library come to be? And why did kings and scholars pour their wealth into building it? To answer that, we must go back to its beginning, when Alexandria was not yet legend, but ambition made real. This is the birth of the Great Library. In the 3rd century BCE, Alexandria was no ordinary city. Built at the crossroads of Africa, Asia, and Europe, it was a place where traders, philosophers, and adventurers all converged. The city itself was a marvel of engineering, wide streets, grand monuments, and a lighthouse so magnificent it became one of the 7 wonders of the world, the Pharaohs of Alexandria. But beyond its commerce and its monuments, the rulers of Alexandria had something far greater in mind. They wanted their city to be the beating heart of human knowledge. It began with Ptolemy I, a general under Alexander the Great who took Egypt after Alexander's death. Unlike many conquerors, Ptolemy was fascinated not only by power, but by ideas. He envisioned a center of learning that would rival, no, surpass anything the world had ever seen. His son, Ptolemy II Philadelphus, would make that dream a reality. Under his rule, construction began on what would become the Great Library, located within the royal district of the city. Its mission was bold, audacious, and almost impossible: to collect every piece of written knowledge in the world. Every single one. The Ptolemies sent agents to scour the known world. Ships arriving at Alexandria's port were searched, and any manuscripts found were seized. The originals were taken to the library, while copies were given back to the owners. It is said that even works from Greece, India, Mesopotamia, and Africa made their way onto its shelves. The hunger for knowledge was so intense, so relentless, that no text was too small, no subject too obscure. Medicine, mathematics, astronomy, engineering, philosophy, poetry, even records of distant lands, all were collected. The library was not just a building, it was a living organism. swallowing the wisdom of the world. Some ancient sources even suggest the collection grew to hold between 400,000 and 700,000 scrolls. If true, that would make it the greatest accumulation of knowledge in antiquity.
But the library was more than shelves of papyrus. Connected to it was the Museion, a great research institute, a temple dedicated to the muses, the goddesses of inspiration. Here, the greatest minds of the age gathered: philosophers, mathematicians, doctors, poets, inventors. They were given housing, stipends, even meals, so that their lives could be devoted entirely to study. They dissected human bodies to understand anatomy. They mapped the stars and charted the heavens. They debated philosophy and reimagined poetry. This was the world's first true research university, centuries before the word even existed. It was a place where ideas could live forever, or so it seemed. For a time, Alexandria flourished as the beacon of human knowledge. But like all great achievements, it stood on fragile ground. For in a world ruled by kings, armies, and empires, even the brightest flame can be extinguished in an instant. And that leads us into the library's golden age, a time of brilliance, but also the calm before the storm. Step inside the great Library of Alexandria during its prime, and you would enter a world unlike any other. Imagine vast halls lined with shelves of papyrus scrolls, the scent of ink and parchment heavy in the air. Scholars walked slowly among the stacks, cradling fragile manuscripts, whispering to one another in Greek, Egyptian, Sanskrit, and languages now long forgotten. Here, the knowledge of countless civilizations rested side by side, from the philosophies of Greece to the mathematical wisdom of Babylonia, from the medical texts of Egypt to the sacred writings of India. The library was nothing less than the collective memory of humankind. What exactly did those shelves hold? No one can say for certain, but fragments, whispers from history, give us tantalizing clues. It may have contained the complete works of Homer, not just the fragments we know today. The plays of Sophocles and Euripides in their entirety. Histories of nations that no longer exist. Treatises on science and technology centuries ahead of their time. Some historians believe the library preserved early theories of heliocentrism, the idea that the Earth orbits the Sun more than 1,000 years before Copernicus rediscovered it. Others suggest it held advanced medical knowledge, cures, and surgical techniques that were lost for centuries after. And then there were the maps. Imagine detailed charts of the known world, perhaps even records of lands far beyond Europe and Asia. Could ancient explorers have reached the Americas? Could their journeys have been documented on those very scrolls? We'll never know. But the library was not only about preserving the past, it was about creating the future. Within its walls, brilliant minds reshaped the world. Euclid, the father of geometry, taught here. Archimedes' ideas on mathematics and engineering were studied here. Hero of Alexandria may have experimented with steam-powered devices, inventions centuries ahead of their time. The great physician Herophilos dissected the human body, identifying the brain as the seat of intelligence, a discovery lost for nearly 1,500 years after. Even the Jewish scholar Philo and the early Christian thinker Origen are said to have worked in its orbit. The library was the Silicon Valley of the ancient world, but instead of microchips, it dealt in scrolls. Instead of data servers, it had shelves stretching to the ceiling. And instead of algorithms, it had living, breathing geniuses. But for all its brilliance, the library was also vulnerable. Paper, ink, knowledge, all of it existed on fragile papyrus, vulnerable to time, decay, and fire. As Alexandria grew, so too did the forces that would one day threaten the library's survival. Politics, war, religion, and the ambitions of kings would conspire to bring this beacon of knowledge to ruin. And so begins the most tragic chapter in our story, the mystery of how the Library of Alexandria was destroyed. The Library of Alexandria stood as a shining beacon of knowledge, but its brilliance also made it fragile. Today, historians debate endlessly what truly happened to the great library. Was it destroyed in one single cataclysmic fire? Or did it slowly wither away, piece by piece, victim of neglect and time? Let us walk through the theories, each one as tragic and as haunting as the next. Theory 1. Julius Caesar's fire. The first suspect, Julius Caesar. In 48 BCE, during his civil war against Pompey, he found himself trapped in Alexandria. To defend the harbor, he ordered the ships of the Egyptian fleet to be ablaze. The flames spread, leaping from the docks into the city itself. Ancient writers like Plutarch and Cassius Dio claimed that warehouses filled with scrolls were consumed. Was the great library among them? Did thousands or hundreds of thousands of manuscripts go up in smoke that day? Imagine the sight. Shelves collapsing into flame, the wisdom of centuries curling into ash. If Caesar's fire was indeed the cause, then one of history's greatest generals was also its greatest arsonist.
Others point to the 4th century CE, centuries after Caesar. By this time, Christianity had risen to power in the Roman Empire. In 391 CE, the Emperor Theodosius outlawed pagan worship, and the Patriarch Theophilus of Alexandria led a campaign against pagan temples. Among these was the Serapeum, a temple associated with the library and its collection. According to some accounts, angry mobs tore through the building, smashing idols, burning texts, erasing what they saw as dangerous remnants of a pagan past. Was this the moment the library died? If so, then the flames were not just physical, but ideological. Knowledge destroyed in the name of faith. Theory 3 emerges centuries later in 642 CE, when the Arab general Amr ibn al-As captured Alexandria. According to some medieval writers, the city's vast collection of manuscripts was ordered burned, the scrolls said to have been used as fuel to heat the city's bathhouses for months. But here lies a problem. This story only appears centuries after the supposed event, and many modern historians doubt its authenticity. Was it real? Or was it propaganda, a later attempt to shift blame for the loss onto others? And then there is a quieter, perhaps more chilling theory, that the library was never destroyed in one great inferno at all. Instead, it simply faded. Scrolls decayed, funds dwindled, scholars left. Wars and invasions chipped away at its treasures. Piece by piece, the greatest collection of human wisdom simply rotted into dust. If true, then the tragedy is even greater. For the library did not die in fire, it died in silence. So which is the truth? Caesar's flames? Christian mobs? Arab conquerors? Or the slow decay of time? Perhaps it was all of them. Perhaps the library suffered death not once, but many times, each age taking its share of the world's knowledge until nothing remained. And with it, vanished answers to questions we can only dream of. Did the ancients understand electricity? Did they chart the globe long before Columbus? Did they conceive inventions that could have propelled humanity centuries ahead? We will never know. The silence of Alexandria is eternal. But what we do know is this: the world was never the same. The library's loss cast a long shadow over history, and to this day it stands as a reminder of just how fragile knowledge truly is. Now, let us step into the aftermath and ask what the legacy of the Library of Alexandria means for us today. The flames of Alexandria may have died out centuries ago, but their smoke still lingers in our imagination. To this day, the library remains less a place and more a symbol of knowledge lost, of potential squandered, of a future that might have been. Historians often wonder, what if the Great Library had survived? Could humanity have leapt centuries ahead of where we are today? What if the secrets of ancient medicine had not been lost? Perhaps plagues that ravaged medieval world could have been cured. What if advanced engineering texts had survived? Steam engines, electricity, even flight, might they have arrived in the ancient world, changing the course of history forever? Instead, humanity had to rediscover what it once already knew, inch by inch, century by century. Progress slowed, civilizations rose and fell, and the spark of discovery had to be reignited again and again. Yet from this tragedy came a lesson. Knowledge is fragile, but also enduring. Though the library was lost, the dream of Alexandria never truly died. Every great university, every public library, every digital archive we build today carries its spirit. When you walk into the British Library or scroll through the endless texts of the internet, you are, in some small way, walking through the halls of Alexandria. And in 2002, in the same city where the original library once stood, Egypt inaugurated the Bibliotheca Alexandrina, a modern library meant to honor its ancient predecessor, a monument not just to what was lost, but to what humanity still strives to preserve. But there is also a warning. Knowledge even today is not indestructible. Wars can erase archives, censorship can silence voices, digital data can vanish in an instant. The story of Alexandria reminds us that if we do not protect what we know, we may one day lose it again. The Library of Alexandria is not only a tragedy of the past, it is a mirror held up to the present and to our future. So the next time you open a book, scroll through an article, or learn something new, remember this. You are holding a torch that once burned in Alexandria, a torch that flickered in the darkness of history, but was never fully extinguished. The library may be gone, but its dream lives on in us. If you enjoyed this journey into one of history's greatest mysteries, don't let the flame stop here. Subscribe to Secrets of History, because there are countless more stories of power, tragedy, and wonder waiting to be uncovered. And if you want to see another tale of how close humanity came to the edge of disaster, click the video on screen now. The Cold War's closest call, the Cuban Missile Crisis. You don't want to miss it.